Hey guys, it's Linda. If you're a quilter, then you know the power of a half square triangle, but you also know the frustration of half square triangle. Martelli has made it super simple for you. All you have to do is search YouTube or any quilter's website and you'll see there's 1,000 ways to do half square triangles, but I want to show you the fastest, most accurate, easiest way to do beautiful, consistent half square triangles. We're going to use our template, of course, that has the no slip material. I want to go through the sizes. We've got in our small bundle a 2-inch, a 3-inch, a 4-inch, and a 5-inch. That's the small. We've got in the large a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9. Now this doesn't start at, this one's a 3-inch. It doesn't start at 3 inches. It finishes at 3 inches. So our number here is a little bit different than our other templates. When you use the 3, it finishes at a 3. When we look at this, the no slip material, and then this center, not for the cut lines, but the important stitch lines. The stitch line makes all the difference. All right, now I'm going to be using a pen just because I want you all to be able to see what I'm doing. But you can use a pen, you can use a pencil, you can use one of our chalk pencils, you can use one of those markers that's going to either wash away or iron away. Either way, I need something to use, and the marking is going to be really important. You'll also want to use Martelli's rotary cutter. I'm a lefty, so of course I'm going to use the 45 millimeter left-handed. You can use a 60, you can use a 28. Here it doesn't matter which rotary cutter you use. Okay, I'm going to get these out of the way and show you the process. This is so nice, so easy, and you're going to impress all your friends. All right, so what do we need? We need to have some kind of a marking pen, a chalk pencil, a pencil itself. If you're going to use a pen, which I'm going to do here so that y'all can see it, make sure that that pen is not so dark. If you had white fabric, I don't want to use a blue or a navy pen. The washables are really great for this. The chalk pencil that we have is great too, but make sure that it writes on your fabric. So what's good about this? I love the red polka dot. That red polka dot you can see is a perfect size for half square triangles. My Eagle fabric is not. So we don't want to choose a fabric like this unless you spend the time and get it laid out so that it's right here, because we're going to be sewing this piece from underneath and below together. So we'll have half on each side. So don't use a busy fabric like this. The next thing we want to do is lop off whatever excess that you have. So I got rid of that. I don't need all of that fabric here because when I'm moving this, that no slip material is going to grab and I don't want this to get caught in the way. Press your fabric too. You can see I haven't done a great job of pressing, so we didn't actually press this at all. I kind of pressed out with my fingers. Pressing does make a difference. Next thing we want to do is cut from our shoulder. When we cut from our shoulder, we know we're going to be right along that edge. That no slip material that's there is going to move freely, but if I'm cutting in the middle of my body, I'm not going to have that blade nice and straight. Start on the side, my finger is going to be on top, and I just simply cut. I'm going to remove that fabric, turn the template, start on the side, and cut. Remove that fabric, turn, and you can see as I'm turning, it's cutting those 2 layers. I'm not doing 8 layers here. This isn't one of those methods. This is one of those. I'm going to do 2 at a time, 2 at a time, 2 at a time, because this piece, this next step, this is where we're going to use whatever marking pen that you have. I want to be consistent. If I have the template this way or this way or this way, whatever is comfortable for you when you're drawing. When I draw my first line here, I'm going to turn the template and draw that same position, the same position. So whatever it is that you're doing, it needs to feel comfortable. Why? Because if I draw here and I draw here, the angle of that pen is not going to be the same. So I want to, whatever it is that I do, make sure that I'm consistent. As I draw, we're basically just going to kind of go back and forth so that you feel like you're having a good connection. If you need to stop and grab some scrap fabric before you get started and practice on scrap fabric, because this is the important part. This is our stitch line. It's not the cut line. All right, so you can see that position that I have here. So I'm going to turn it in that same direction. And now I'm going to draw, and I'm just kind of sketching along to make sure that I have some kind of a marking. And by the way, don't do a Sharpie on here on your mat. Why? Because that Sharpie might just go through and get on top of your mat, and that's going to be harder to get off. So as I drew, just like I did here, those marks, those are my stitch lines. I'm going to remove this, and I would go to the sewing machine. What am I going to do? Stitch along here, stitch along here. once I've stitched along here and I put my other template away, I would grab whatever ruler, whatever template that I have. I'm going to grab a hexagon because that's what I have here. And I'm basically looking at my point here and looking at my point here. That's my stitch line. That's my stitch line. The cut line is not nearly as important, but I still don't want to have an 1/8 of an inch on one and a 1/16 of an inch on the other. As I go to cut, get that rotary cutter open, but as I go to cut, I've already stitched. So the stitch line was the important one. The cut is just an oh, by the way. And what do we get once we've stitched that? We get a beautiful half square triangle. So the stitch line is what we get from the template, and that's super important. I want to point out one other thing, and I'm going to take a look right inside of here. And Zeke, I want you to tell me when you can see that that's really good. Do you see this no slip material, that brown material? I should not see that. So what you can do with that is take the rotary cutter, and I'm going to kind of angle that. What happens is when they make these the first time around, that no slip material that's there, it may be hanging over a little bit. You can try cutting from the back side, basically cut at an angle. This one is not that bad. Each time you do this, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but do you see how I want to kind of get that off of there? If you have a 28 millimeter, that 28 millimeter rotary cutter, when you put this inside of here and angle that, that'll let you cut off that excess. The other thing that you can do, see how there's a little bit of the no slip material? The other thing that you can do, if you've got some of that brown hanging off, is take a nail file that you get from wherever, and you can just file that off. That edge that's there, we just don't want any of that brown that is there. The brown is supposed to be here, but not here. So you can just kind of rub that off with a nail file. Imagine me using a nail file, and that would take all that excess off. And you can see how that's starting to come off of there. We want to get rid of all of that excess. Half square triangles, perfect, beautiful, fast, easy with the no slip half square triangle template set.